Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be doing a watercolor landscape painting with waterfall. So for the watercolor paper, I'm going to be using the Strathmore cold pressed watercolor paper and the Camel Artist watercolor cakes. It comes in 18 shades. And for fine lining and fine tuning, I'm going to be using the Art Minds dual tip marker. I'm also going to be using these aqua brush pens for highlights and for adding small details. So basically you fill the water inside and you pick the color with the brush here and water comes out of this brush. So I'm going to be using this for adding all the highlights. So now let's get started with the painting. Now that we have the basic sketch and a basic idea of where everything is, we can start with the painting and use our watercolors. So one thing we should know about watercolors is that it's a very transparent medium and you can get opacity by layering on each coat of watercolor. And here for these rocks, I'm using the wet and wet method where I wet the paper first and then add the color so that it bleeds to everywhere where the water is. Just like that, I'm adding a few textures with some darker colors to show that this is the rock, and I'm using darker colors to make a gradient. And the wet and wet method is perfect for when you want to do gradients. And I'm also using watercolor pencils to give it some depth and darkness and highlight the main areas. And for the grass, I'm adding lighter shades and then layering on darker shades and adding some textures and dots to resemble grass. And I'm repeating the same process for the trees. Here again for the grass, just start by adding a very light color of green and then layer on the dark colors by adding spots and dots and filling in the other areas with some other shades of green, and you can create a texture of grass. And for the sun too, I'm just using some water and the wet and wet method to make sure I get a smooth gradient with the oranges and the yellows. And here I'm using my aqua brush pens to start with the water. Now I'm adding straight lines in different textures to show the water, and also adding some highlights with white. And for the other side too, for the rocks and all the grass that's there, I'm using the same wet and wet method and adding darker colors over the lighter colors and adding textures. Now we're done with the painting of the whole landscape. Now we're gonna use a marker and start fine lining and fine tuning all the details. Now using the aqua brush pen again, I'm adding all the highlights like the yellow to the grass and some whites to the water. And just like that, we're all done with the painting. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. You can follow my art Instagram and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye bye.